big game for all of us at Alabama. We have a tremendous amount of respect for Tennessee, their players. They're playing really good football right now. And this is a challenging game on both sides of the ball. They play hard on defense. They've been hard to run against. Their offense is scoring 39 points a game, which is third in the SEC. Make a lot of negative plays with their defense, and so this is a very challenging game for us. I think Josh Heupel has done a really good job of making this team, play extremely well. And it's a big game. It's a rivalry game for us. Big game for a lot of people here who have supported the program for a long time. So we need to get our players to prepare the right way.
First up, we'll go to Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Nick. How you doing today?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. You mentioned rivalry games that Josh did too, but Alabama, and I know the historic, nature of this, but Alabama's won 14 in a row. Can it really be a legit rivalry game when it's that one-sided, or is this more of it's another SEC game for you guys?
Well, it's you can say it however you want to say it, but it's a significant if you don't have success in the game because it's significant to a lot of people. And what happened the last however many years you talked about will have no impact on this game at all. And the only thing that matters is what happens now. So for now, this week, it's a rivalry game to me, and I hope it is to everybody in our organization.
Okay. Thank you.
Next is David Pascal of Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Nick, given that this time last year Tennessee's coach was at UCF, their top quarterbacks were at Virginia Tech and Michigan, their leading rusher was in JUCO, and their top deep threat was at Mississippi State, given such an overhaul, how surprised are you that Tennessee is having the success? Because that 4-3 record could easily be 6-1.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Lost a couple close games, but they have good players. And they've done a good job of, overhauling and getting some players in that could make an immediate impact, which I think you have an opportunity to do with players being able to transfer like they are now. And they've done a really good job of that. And they should be certainly credited for the job that they've done to kind of retool and get players that can do well in their system. And they've certainly done that. I mean, both their quarterbacks have played well when they've played. They've improved the skill level. The runner is the best player on the offensive team in terms of consistent performance and production, even though he's been injured a little bit lately. And that's why they're one of the top scoring teams in the conference.
You used the term retool. Do you think the term rebuilding is going to kind of go away because of the transfer portal, and that coaches are going to expect to develop these kind of rosters quicker and quicker, and there'll be less time given them?
Well, I think retool is probably just a part of what you do to rebuild. And Josh has done a really good job of rebuilding in a short period of time and getting some players in there that can make a significant impact, and they certainly have done that. And, hey, they have a great system. They do a good job on both sides of the ball. The way they play offense is really difficult to defend, and now they've got some really good players to execute it.
Thank you.
Next is Jimmy Hines of the Sports Animal in Knoxville.
Hey, Nick, what's impressed you the most about Bryce Young?
About who?
About your quarterback.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said. No, Bryce has played really well. I think he's had really good poise. He does a really good job of preparing for games and understands, exactly what he needs to do to execute the plan. And he's been really efficient and effective. He's been accurate with the ball. And, we've got a lot of new players on offense, so it's been a little bit of a work in progress for us to, sort of get where we want to go. But he has done a really good job in his part of it, and I'm really pleased with how he's handled the situations, even playing in some really tough places on the road. And he's gotten better and better at that. So I'm really pleased with how he started the season, and I'm really pleased with the progress he's made throughout.
And I apologize for asking you this because you've probably been asked before, but we've seen so many games where it appears there are fake injuries. Some have suggested sitting out 4 or 5 plays or sitting out a possession. Do you have any suggestions on how to curb this?
Not really. I mean, it really slows the game down, so it's not probably a good thing for the game. It's not something that we've ever done here. But, it's, when a team goes fast, which everybody has the right to go fast, and you go on long drives, some players, you got to exert a lot of energy to play defense and run to the ball every time. So players get tired. When players get tired, they're more susceptible to getting injured probably. And you don't have enough timeouts to call timeout. So I understand why some people do it. We've not done it here. But you still get a 40-second clock on offense. We had a situation in our Florida game this year at the end of the game where we're trying to take the air out of it, and one of their players go down to stop the clock. And maybe it was legit. I don't really know, but the clock gets reset to 40 seconds and starts on the ready for play. So it doesn't affect the time in the game. It does impact the pace of play. So I don't have a solution to it. I mean, there's a lot of good people out there that are above my pay grade. I probably shouldn't even be trying to answer this question.
Well, thank you.
Next is Tony Chalukas of BAMA Insider.
Hey, Nick, around this time last year, Will Anderson really kind of clicked it to another level. I know he's had a great season so far, but following last week, do you kind of think that there's another gear that he could click? And what have you seen from him just recently to maybe to expand on that?
Well, I mean, that's your assumption. I mean, the guy plays hard every down. He gives everything he's got every down. All right, so, it's the old adage, you ask a guy to give 100%, which he always does, which I appreciate, and he's a great competitor. All right, so now I'm going to go ask him today after your question, can you give 110? There's no such thing. I mean, the guy plays all the time, hard all the time. He's a good player. He'll continue to improve as a player as he gets more experience and knowledge, and we can utilize him the best we can to help him make plays. But I have tremendous respect for competitors who give all they got every play, and he already does that.
Thank you.
Next is Rainer Saban of the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Nick. Back in the 80s when you were defensive coordinator in Michigan State, how difficult was it to recruit against some of the, other teams that you played regularly, like Michigan and Notre Dame, based on the fact that they were on TV all the time? And that was an era when there was a less inventory of games. And, Michigan State was not on TV as much and didn't have that exposure.
Well, what I focused on at Michigan State was for us to be who we were. And we wanted to have the best program that we could have to support the players personally, academically, and athletically, and help them be more successful in life. And we tried to, sell that in recruiting. And, we had to do maybe a little bit more national recruiting and find some places where we could get players, quality players. I never really thought it was a disadvantage from an exposure standpoint or anything like that. I just focused on what we could do to help our players be the best that they could be, and worked hard to try to improve the team every way we could, which how you bring players to the team is a big part of that. So I never really looked at it from a negative standpoint. Always tried to look at all the positives that we had as an institution at Michigan State, which is a lot. It's a beautiful place. There's a lot of good people there. And they were committed to helping the players be successful. So it really wasn't, I never really thought of it the way you presented it.
And do you think, though, TV is kind of even the playing field from a recruiting standpoint and maybe shift it to other factors? Because, again, every game's on television now.
Yeah, well, every game is on television now. I mean, so there's more games to watch, but so I guess if you have a good team, you get more exposure because more people watch the game. Even though there's more games on, they still want to watch the good games. So it still enhances you to be in a positive position, as a team, which, Mel's done a great job there, and they're in a very positive position. So a lot of people become interested in your players and your program.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Coach, we'll wrap you up with Adam Sparks, the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Yeah, Nick, Henry To'oTo'o was already an all-conference player at Tennessee before he came there. He didn't have that guarantee of having a large role at Alabama. What did that tell you about him, that he would take somewhat of a risk of starting over without anything promised?
Well, I mean, Henry's a great competitor. He's done a great job for us. He's been a real positive addition to our team. I think he was very confident when he came here that he could create a role for himself because of the kind of competitor, the kind of person, how important football is to him. That he would do just fine, and he certainly has.
Thanks,
Coach. Thank you.